Welcome back. Have you ever thought about how something as innocent as buying a car can actually trap you into a never-ending cycle of financial struggle? Well, in this video, I'm going to take a look at the harsh realities and mistakes that many people make during the car buying process. I'll also introduce you to a powerful tool that you can use that can put you onto a healthier road to a secure financial future. It's called the 24-10 rule. I hope you find the video informative. If you do, hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you. So now let's get started. Besides a home, buying a car is one of the biggest financial decisions we will ever make in our lives, and one we repeat multiple times. For some, a car is just a means of transportation, while for others, it's a symbol of freedom and success. But few people consider the hidden costs that come with owning a car and the missed opportunities they entail. So speaking of those missed opportunities, let's consider a scenario. Imagine a 25-year-old individual choosing to buy a $35,000 vehicle instead of a $25,000 vehicle that would have served the same purpose. That extra $10,000 could have been invested into the S&P 500, which earns on average 10% compounded annual growth rate over long periods of time. That one-time $10,000 investment could have grown into over $547,000 by the time they hit retirement age of age 67. And remember, this is just one car purchase, and we will be buying an automobile several times throughout our life. It's clear that cars have the potential to be massive wealth killers. It's simple. The less you spend on autos, the wealthier you can become. Too many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, not saving properly for retirement, and they don't have an adequate emergency fund. And guess what? One of the main reasons, especially for Americans, might be sitting in their driveways. Here's some more crazy statistics. During the fourth quarter of 2022, the average monthly car payment for new vehicles was $716, with an interest rate of 6.07%. For used vehicles, it was $526, but with an interest rate of 10.26%. The average auto loan amounted to over $41,000 for new vehicles and almost $28,000 for used vehicles. But here's the real kicker. The majority of new auto loans now span over 72 months, or about 6 years. That's crazy. And shockingly, 15.7% of consumers who financed a new vehicle have monthly payments of $1,000 or more. To add to the misery, 17.4% of new vehicles had negative equity during the fourth quarter of 2022, which means those people owe more on the car than the car is worth. Now, of course, it's better to eventually reach a point in your life where you can pay cash for a car. But let's face it, for many, that's not realistic until they have had time to build more net worth. In this case, you should probably not be looking to buy new vehicles. You should buy used cars, and usually the sweet spot for used vehicles is at least 3 to 5 years old, because they have experienced their greatest years of depreciation. Now, let's turn our attention back to that 24-10 rule. It's a simple guideline that is often recommended when purchasing a car. The rule suggests putting down at least 20% of the vehicle's purchase price, financing the car for no longer than 4 years, and ensuring that the total monthly cost of owning the car, including loan payments, insurance, maintenance, all of that does not exceed 10% of your gross monthly income. If someone does have a trade-in with a positive equity, that can be viewed or used towards that 20% down payment. This sounds straightforward, right? Well, many people overlook or simply ignore this rule, diving headfirst into car loans that stretch their budgets to the limit and beyond. they become trapped in a never-ending cycle of debt, struggling to make ends meet and unable to save for their future. One of the biggest pitfalls of car ownership is falling into the dreaded realm of being upside down on your car loan. This unfortunate situation occurs when you owe more on your car than it's actually worth. Depreciation hits hard and fast, and an auto loses as much as 20% or more of its value in just the first year. This is according to LendingTree and Kelley Blue Book. If you financed your vehicle for an extended period or put down a small down payment, you are essentially setting yourself up for financial disaster. With each passing month, you dig yourself deeper into a hole of negative equity. Not only does car ownership drain your financial resources, but it can also hinder your ability to save for retirement properly. Think about it. Instead of diligently putting away money for the future, a significant portion of your income is tied up in car-related expenses. This leaves little room for building a retirement nest egg, potentially jeopardizing your financial security. For starters, it helps protect us from being upside down on a car purchase. By putting down at least 20%, we have a better chance of avoiding the pitfalls of negative equity, which can really create more financial problems. For instance, if we get into an accident and the car is totaled, or if it's stolen, the insurance payout won't cover the loan against it. And before you say that's what gap insurance is for, gap insurance is just another horrible purchase. It's just an additional expense you are paying for a bad decision you made to begin with. If you follow something close to the 24-10 rule, you won't end up being upside down on a loan, and thus no need for that additional expense. Plus, if we decide to trade a vehicle that has negative equity, it can force us to roll the negative equity into the new auto, putting us upside down again and financing too much, which means paying higher total interest. We just continue the financial black hole we are already in. Now, the 4 in the 24-10 rule refers to how many years should be the maximum number of years we should finance a vehicle. If we have to finance a vehicle for more than 4 years, you are buying too much vehicle for your income level. Even though most car loans range from 24 to 84 months, anything over 48 months should be a huge red flag. Longer terms may seem tempting because it lowers your payment, but it forces you to pay more in total interest and increases the risk of being upside down on the loan again because the rate you are paying the loan off isn't keeping up with the depreciation. It's essential to remember that people selling autos are not your friends. They don't care about the hardships an auto might create for you. Their priority is selling you a vehicle, and they will do everything possible to get you into a loan. Remember that according to Kelley Blue Book, the average 2023 model year vehicle will only retain about 45% of its original value after 5 years of ownership, meaning that a $45,000 new car today will only be worth somewhere close to $20,250 after 5 years. And finally, the 10 refers to the size of the monthly expense we should accept. In essence, we should not allow our total transportation costs to exceed 10% of our gross monthly income. Here's where the rule needs some explanation. Some use net income against the car payment only, but that can vary so much due to the number of dependents we claim on our W-4 and other factors. It's probably better to use gross income, but then make sure to include all of the transportation costs, such as the car payment, gas or charging costs, maintenance, tires, insurance costs, and taxes. This helps us contain our desires and make sure we are not buying too much vehicle for our income. Otherwise, the auto becomes too much of a burden and creates financial problems elsewhere. Let's take a look at an example. Suppose somebody makes $72,000 per year, which works out to be $6,000 per month. 10% of $6,000 is $600. Thus, our car payment, fuel or charging expenses, tires and maintenance, any parking expenses we may have, insurance and taxes should not exceed $600 per month. This may sound challenging to many, but if we are much over this figure, it's going to make it difficult to properly manage other financial areas of our life, such as saving 20% of our income for retirement, staying out of credit card debt, and maintaining the proper amount we should have for an emergency fund. Now, let's take a look at one of the most popular new vehicles sold during the year 2023 as I make this video. That's a Ford F-150. For this example, I picked a four-wheel drive crew cab, and this example is for driving 15,000 miles per year, and I selected Denver as a central location of the country. Using Edmunds' cost to own calculator, the true cost of owning this vehicle just during the first year is over $21,000, and around $9,700 of that is just depreciation during the first year. The taxes during the first year are high due to sales tax, and that's required. And the true cost of owning this vehicle just for the first 5 years is over $59,000, which is more than the total cash price of the vehicle. And we paid over $10,000 in interest alone. No wonder autos are keeping people struggling financially. This true cost to own calculator from Edmunds assumes a 10% down payment, financing for 5 years, and having an above average credit score. This is certainly not the ideal way to buy an auto, but that is still better than what most buyers are doing. Assuming we didn't actually need a truck for a certain line of work, let's take a look at another popular vehicle, a new Honda Civic. Since we are buying new, the true cost of owning this vehicle is still over $34,000 during the first 5 years. But that's a $25,000 savings compared to the truck. Imagine what that difference could have grown into if we would have invested it. But here the true cost of ownership just during the first 5 years is still over $34,000, which was again more than the cash price of the vehicle. And we paid over $5,600 in interest and suffered over $9,000 in depreciation. With all the hidden expenses associated with autos that people overlook, it's no wonder they're one of the main reasons keeping people struggling and never creating financial independence for themselves, especially when they are buying new vehicles or nearly new vehicles. Now, we do need to understand that everyone's circumstances are unique, and the 24-10 rule may need some modification to fit individual situations. It doesn't really apply to somebody that makes a rather high income. Consider somebody making $300,000 per year. That's $25,000 per month. And 10% of that is $2,500. It would be ridiculous to think about all of our transportation costs of our autos to be approaching that amount. But for most income levels, the underlying principle of the 24-10 rule remains useful. That is, if we don't want to be car poor and not have the ability to create financial independence for ourselves. In fact, this rule is most important for those that are still trying to pay down debt, build a 6-month emergency fund, get their savings rate up to 20% of their income so that they can create financial independence in their life. So before you strap yourself into a car loan that stretches your budget to the limit, remember this rule. It's a strategy to free yourself from the grip of auto-related hardships that keep revolving year after year after year. So Thank you for watching again. Please hit the like button and subscribe to more videos. If you have questions or comments, please leave them below. I enjoy hearing from you.